It's Zach from Board with Friends, and we are here with another unboxing video. I have in front of me the highly anticipated Transformers deck building game from Renegade Studios. Now, this is a preview copy that was sent to me courtesy of Ronald from Bot Talk, so shout out to him. Thank you so much. And this game, I've been very much excited to play this. I really enjoyed the Power Rangers deck building game, and they're doing a series of Hasbro properties. This is the Transformers deck building game, and we'll also be seeing the G.I. Joe deck building game soonish. I know there's been a lot of issues with shipping lately in the world, so stuff is delayed, but it's okay. Eventually we'll get our stuff, and it's pretty cool. Now, spoiler alert, I've already opened this. I've already played around. But I'm going to go through the components and stuff now so you can see it, and we'll have another video on how to play later on once we get into that. And trying to open boxes is so much fun when you're reaching around a camera. Come on. There we go. Get that open. Lovely artwork on the top there. They're using the evergreen designs, I think that's what they're called, for Bumblebee and Optimus and all the others, so that they can just keep things going. But the artwork in the game itself is actually from IDW Comics. So it does vary in the different designs, but we got a lovely rule book here explaining how to play the game. Now, there's two modes to this game. You can play competitive or you can play cooperative. Gameplay is almost exactly the same depending on how you do it. It's just little minor tweaks that change. As you can see, I've already organized my insides here because, like I said, I already played it once. But inside we got some components here for, most of these are for the competitive mode, because we have victory point chips. These here, the 5s, the 1s, the 10s, those are all to count up your victory points if you're going against each other. And then these chits here are for kind of keeping track of your power and your movement and how much you've used per turn. Nice good chip board there. And then we also have inside just other extra chits that help keep track of different statuses when stuff comes out. So whether a status is ongoing or whether it's only at the start of turn. It says it on the cards too. I didn't find a need for those, but it's nice that they're there. You can just keep track of them. This is an empty bag because it contained, for our standees, for the playable characters in the game. Let's see if we can get these out anymore. Nope. So we've got little standees to represent your characters in the matrix, which will be the grid of cards that you create for the game. Nice quality cardboard on these as well. Cool artwork. I think these are all from the IDW comics. But yeah, they just stand up and make good representations all about the board. You could replace these with your toys if you want to, but they serve their purpose, they're functional, and they got cool artwork on them. So we got Ironhide, and it's the same front and back. RC, Ratchet, Wheeljack, Optimus Prime, and Goldbug. Sorry, Bumblebee. I prefer Goldbug. Anyway, Bumblebee's in there as well, in his evergreen design. Next we have the character cards. So same thing, these are double-sided cards because throughout the game you can use Energon that you've acquired throughout the game to transform back and forth. And some cards will let you do it for free. But we have RC, who's all about movement and beating the crap out of her enemies. She's pretty awesome. We have Ironhide, who's not as fast, but he does have a lot of defensive capabilities in his robot mode, which is appropriate to him. Then we have Wheeljack, who is all about the technology cards. So there's different cards in the game. I'll show you some of those in a moment. And he synergizes really well with the technology cards. He'll get boosts the more you have. So when you're playing as Wheeljack, you're going to want to pick up a lot of those. Then we have Ratchet, who gets a boost from healing people. So if you remove damage, he gets extra points and more Energon in a cooperative game for that. And then we have Bumblebee, who synergizes well with ally cards. So the more allies he picks up, the more powerful he is. And then Optimus Prime himself. Optimus Prime, whenever he basically helps out everybody else, and he can block and protect, and he's just a really good balanced character. So that is the characters that we have. You also get these lovely things. It's a bag full of Energon. I'm no stranger to cubes in a game, so it was pretty cool to see pink cubes for representing our favorite sustenance for giant fighting robots. Good quality cubes, high plastic. They're just fun to play with. My 8-year-old daughter was having a blast just stacking them up and acquiring them throughout the game that we were able to play. So it was good times. Good quality component there. Now these decks right here, these are all the starter decks. It's a 5-player game, so you create, just like any deck builder, you have a deck of crummy cards that you start with, and you use them to buy better cards. So you start with 6 courage cards, which just basically give you power, which power is used as currency in the game. It's used to defeat enemies, it's used to buy cards, it's used for all that, fun stuff. And then Energon, which is used, you acquire Energon and you can activate special abilities either from your character or from on the cards itself in different situations. Then you get a patrol card, which lets you flip adjacent spaces as you move around the grid of cards, the matrix, if you will. You can use this card to flip cards for free. Normally you would have to use movement to flip over a card. Then you have a fix card, which lets you repair damage. You do not want damage in this game, just like any other deck builder. There are dead cards, but these don't go into your deck. They actually, you just acquire them. And in a cooperative game, if you get 5 of them, you're dead, you're out. So you want to fix damage as quickly as possible. In a competitive game, they count as negative points at the end of the game. Firepower, it just gives you a good burst of power and range, which allows you to activate cards that are further away from you, or affect cards that are further away from you, which is pretty nice. So you don't have to be right on top of them. Sorry, my chair is squeaking. Then we get into the bulk of the game, which, well, I'll get that later. I'm not going to show every single card, but... So this is the main deck of cards that you would go through, but there are special cards. Now, in a cooperative game, you don't use these, so I have not used them yet, but these are relic cards. They're very expensive. They're unique. There's only one of them in each deck, but they do all sorts of powerful things. They're hard to get, but once you get them, you can do a lot of cool stuff with them. So we got the Matrix of Leadership, a Polarity Gauntlet, a Phase Shifter, which I think is one of the relics from Transformers Prime, if I remember correctly. A Resonance Blaster. Tox N. Oh yeah, a lot of these are from... I recognize some from Transformers Prime. So they pulled from a lot of different sources. That's pretty cool. And then a Relic Robot Jetfire. Okay, cool. And then we have scheme cards. Now, these are the cooperative scheme cards. You put these in when you're setting up a cooperative game, which I'll go over in a separate video. But these just make the game harder because you're all working together. You're not trying to compete with each other. There's only a few of those. Then we have some nice player guides to help you through the turn sequences and stuff without having to constantly go back to the rulebook. Then we have these encounter cards. These are cool. There's 10 of them. So in the game, you're going to be, as you flip over adversaries, so the opposite faction, in this case it's the Decepticons, you would shuffle these up and flip over the top card and do whatever it says at the top here. Like this one says it's going to attack, so you lose a victory point. You have to just give that up. If it's a cooperative game, you would lose an Energon for that. So anytime, it says victory points, but in cooperative mode, it just translates to Energon. If it's a boss reveal, it does something extra on top of that. The ambush hits all adversaries. So this, instead of hitting just the person who flipped over the card, it hits everybody that's in the game. So you don't like that. And then these serve a dual purpose. There's a boss confrontation. So when you actually go to fight a boss character, because there's plenty of Decepticons seeded throughout the deck, but there's only specific ones who are designated as a boss. So think Megatron, and I think Devastator is a boss, and Starscream. You know, the high-tier Decepticons. You would do the same mechanic. You flip, shuffle these up and flip over the top one, and then instead you're going to activate whatever this ability is. And usually they're very nasty. Sometimes they add extra power to the Decepticon, making them harder to beat. Sometimes they, give you damage. They do all sorts of crazy stuff. Then we have basic cards. So every deck builder has that card stack that you can just buy, just in case there's nothing on the board that you want. You can always pick up one of those. Like in the Power Rangers deck builder, it was the Blade Blaster. Ooh, getting tongue-tied talking to myself. In this game, it's the Transform and Roll Out card. It costs 2, it gives you one of everything, which is really nice and useful, and it gives you a free transform, so you don't have to use an Energon token. And then if you're assisting, you can use this as an assist to help out a friend, help out in competitive mode. It'll give you plus 1 power to it. So there's a stack of those. And then there's a stack of those damage cards I was talking about. Damage cards are the ones that, you don't want these. They basically just, they act as negative victory points, or they clutter up your deck. In a cooperative game, they kill you. So don't get those if you can, and heal them as soon as you can. These are the boss cards. So there's different tiers. Like I mentioned, Megatron, he's tier 3, naturally. I got these out of order here. So we got Megatron here. The bosses, the objective of the game is to defeat 3 bosses. So you're always going to have, when you're setting up the game, you'll have piles of cards that you have out. I think it's 4 piles. And in the each pile, you're going to take a tier, shuffle them up, and put a random boss inside that, and then shuffle it into that pile. And then you'll stack them all up and create the main deck. These boss cards, you don't know who's going to come out, but they do a lot of nasty things. They're hard to beat. And then for Soundwave, for example, he was in the game that I played. When you reveal him, when you first flip over that card and it turns out Soundwave is there, he's instantly going to attack everybody. So you discard 1 ally you control and then resolve an ambush. So you have to resolve one of those ambush cards I showed you as well. And then throughout the game, until you defeat him, he has an ongoing effect. Start of the turn, you gain 1 damage, and then he cannot be defeated if there's any mini-cassette Decepticons in the Matrix revealed. So if Rumble, or Frenzy, or Ravage, or Laserbeak, whoever else is in the game, I don't remember if all of them are in there, but I've seen some so far. If one of them are on the board, you have to defeat them before you can defeat him. So he synergizes well with the other cards that are out. It's pretty cool. Then we have Astro Train. I haven't played with him yet. Blitzwing. Haven't played with him yet. Devastator. Have not played with him yet. Starscream. We did play against him. Discard 1 ally you control, then resolve an ambush. And then every turn you have to discard a non-basic card. So all the cards that you acquire throughout the game that are not the Transform and Rollout card. Or a damage card. You can't get rid of those either with him. And then Megatron, discard each ally you control, then resolve an ambush. And then, start a turn, reveal the top card of your deck. If it costs 3 or more, you destroy it. So he's going to get rid of your powerful cards. Really nasty stuff. Pretty cool, though. Then we get into the meat of the game. We got these cards here. So there's different types of cards. There's maneuver cards. There are more schemes, like I talked about. They just do nasty things to you. They mess with the rules and, hurt you. You have Autobot Allies that you can recruit. So they cost whatever they cost in the corner here. They give you these things when you play them. So Prowl here gives you 2 power, 2 range, and 2 extra movement, which is pretty awesome. And then down here, when you play him, if you thwart a scheme this turn, you gain 2 victory points. So in competitive, you'd get 2 victory points for that. In cooperative, you would get 2 Energon for that. And then if you were confronting a boss and you've played this card, you can activate his Energon ability, which gives you an extra additional power against somebody just for spending 1 of your Energon. Pretty cool. Here's an example of a scheme card. So this one is the Space Bridge to Cybertron. It's ongoing. So when you flip over a scheme card, this effect just keeps going until you manage to get rid of it. You may pay 2 more power to defeat. You pay 2 more power to defeat adversaries. So every time you fight someone like Ravage here, for an example, he would be an adversary since we're playing as the Autobots. Instead of paying 2 power to defeat him, you would have to pay 4 if this scheme was out. It's just not the greatest example because Ravage is rather weak, but some of the other Decepticons out there, it could be pretty bad. Especially, say, Megatron's out there, all of a sudden he's bumped up to a 12 because of this scheme. To thwart it, while on this space, you have to resolve an assist you placed. So you have to help somebody else out. And that will get rid of the scheme. Then we have Spike Wiki, not Sam Wiki, Sean, if you're watching. So he's an ally. Allies are pretty neat. When you acquire them, you don't put them into your discard pile right away. You put them in front of you. So they stay out and they do ongoing effects for you throughout the game. They can be targeted by Decepticon abilities or adversary abilities. Sometimes they get just destroyed or gotten rid of. Sometimes they get sent to your discard pile. If that's the case, once you shuffle your deck and draw new cards again, if you pull them, you can place them back up in front of you again. Pretty cool stuff. And then we got various Decepticons throughout the game. Now, you will notice that there are abilities on these cards. They have a cost as well. Now, if you're playing as the Autobots, you defeat them, and they just go away. That's it. I assume that this means that these cards will be, when the Decepticon set comes out, whenever that will be, that means that if you play as a Decepticon, you'll be able to purchase these, recruit them into your deck, and use these abilities on the cards. Otherwise, you ignore them, and the only thing that matters is at the bottom here, when you defeat them, you'll gain whatever the victory condition is down here. There's also sight cards. These are pretty cool. So when you flip these over, they stay in the matrix, and go to them, you get an ongoing benefit. Lots of neat stuff here. There was one... let's see. Well, look at this one. The Desert, pay 3 power. Gain the top card of the main deck. If it's an adversary, destroy this site. Place the adversary in the space instead and resolve an ambush. So it's a kind of a gamble. You might get a really good card, or you might lose this site and have to deal with some consequences. Let's see here. There's also technology cards, like I mentioned when we were talking about Wheeljack. These things usually give you very powerful abilities, and they stack with Wheeljack's card. I believe all the characters that you can play are also character cards in here that can be recruited, so you get kind of a washed-down version of their special abilities. Like the Wheeljack card came up in the game that we played, and he did synergize well with technology, but it's just more beneficial if you're playing the character because he can do more with that. So more maneuvers, Decepticons, technology, Autobots to recruit. And that's pretty much it. There's also... Let's see if I can find one. There's the Decepticon scheme again. I can't talk. It's too early, and I haven't had my coffee yet. But lots of stuff in here, and I'm just going to drop everything. Cool stuff to explore. Really cool abilities. Oh, there they are. So, like, there's RC, Wheeljack, Brawn. I saw Wheeljack somewhere. Jazz. Jazz is a promo character, so if you pre-order the game, you can get an extra character to play in the form of Jazz. I don't know what his abilities are. I did pre-order the game, but I also got this review copy as well, so hopefully I'll have Jazz at some point once the official game is released. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This is what you get with the Transformers deck building game. I'm not ready to give a full review of it because I want to get a few more plays in. I'm going to try it solo and hopefully try it in competitive mode as well. And we will also do a how to play video with a lot more detail on how to set up and what things are. But for now, hope you enjoyed taking a quick look at the Transformers deck building game. Let me know in the comment below if you're excited for it and what else you want to see. And for now, that's all I got. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and I will see you next turn.